Hey guys, welcome back. BGC Gare here. We're back with Season 4, Episode 33 of our weekly Q&A&Ts. Our first question this week comes from Arian, munir. Maybe we got that wrong. Feel free to correct us in the comments. We have one of those later on, and I've really appreciated that.
Yeah.
They say, BDC Gare Gaming, I just want to inform you that yesterday I fought an Arkham team which had an Elite 10, level 60 Arkham Origins Deadshot. I'm not sure, is this normally possible, because you have said earlier that Deadshot and Killer Croc are the only two characters who can't be breakthrough'd. Which is, I think, an interesting way of...
Broken through?
Broken through?
It's funny when you got a compound word.
Run through, breakthrough? I have no clue.
Who can't be post-7 promoted.
Who can't be further eluded via breakthrough.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, because when you have compound word, and the compound of the word, the first part is the actual verb. Mm-hmm. And it's like when you do, like a follow-up. Are you follow-upping, or you are following up? You're following up, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a compound. It's not really hyphenated, actually. That's not a great example.
Can't be broken through, maybe. So, I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways, the end of their question is, so I want to know, is that guy a hacker? I'd even taken a screenshot of that team. If you want, I can show you. He's a hacker, right? Should I report that guy?
All right, so I think there's a broader question that needs to be answered first, and maybe we need to give a bit of context.
Yeah.
So we know that sometimes when you, like the general you, when one makes a report on someone who one suspects of being a hacker, Warner Brothers will act on it. We've seen that before. And we've talked a little bit before about how it seems like hackers seem to stay on the leaderboard way too long, but we think it's probably more a function of how much more work it takes to clean up the leaderboard versus just suspending an account, so that when you do something yourself, your account can get suspended really fast before the end of the season. But if we're looking at who you fight against or who's on leaderboard, the person whose account is suspended will still show up to other people. Mm-hmm. Right? So they keep seeing the...
Yeah, I'm not sure how active an account has to be for it to do that. Because I know definitely right when it first rolls over, it's not just pulling from people who are already playing in the current season. Because as soon as it rolls over, there's still a bunch of variety. But I'm assuming that inactive accounts probably get booted off eventually.
They definitely get less action. I know that the times where because we're playing with so many different accounts, the times where I leave an account fallow for, a few weeks, that it quickly drops down from whatever percent, and by the end of it, it ends up being like the top 75% or something. Yeah. Which is meaningless because you get that even if you're in these with 0 battle points. Mm-hmm.
Which is weird that you get top percent with 0 battle points.
So in this particular case that you're mentioning, Arian, I'm pretty certain there hasn't been a breakthrough event that allowed either Deadshots or Killer Croc to be promoted past Elite 7. Yeah. And I don't even know if the one of the Deadshots is actually, like Arkham Origins Deadshot, is actually possible past Elite 8, unless you were, number 1. So I can say with some confidence, this is a hacker. But I tend to lean away from reporting in general for a couple of reasons at least, right? Mm-hmm. First thing is, even though I'm pretty sure, I can never guarantee that we never make mistakes. And I've seen too many times on the official forums even where people throw around the term hacker really loosely. And I mean, in some ways they would consider us hackers, right? Because we do glitches, we show people how to do it, even though to us, to me at least, the distinction is important.
Yeah, and we secondhand make use of hacked content to demonstrate stuff, but we were careful to never bring it into online play.
Yeah, because I don't want to make the experience of somebody else playing a bad one.
Yeah.
All right, so whether... some of the people that are complaining about hackers, sometimes they're just a little salty about losing a battle because their team was really underpowered to face the opponent. Yeah. Or they see some content that they don't have and believe no one should have it, even though sometimes totally legit. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be that guy that might be making a report in good faith but turn out to be wrong and then screwing somebody else over. Mm-hmm. So that was the first thing. The second thing is we know that Warner Brothers doesn't do a particularly good job of investigating reports, and they do a much worse job of fixing their mistakes when they suspend an account incorrectly, right? So it means that if we make a report and someone gets suspended, even if we made a mistake, that person, that account is unlikely to be playable again. Mm-hmm. All right, so, and the one exception I'll make, right, is that if they've broken the game in some fundamental way that gives an advantage that really unbalances the fight.
Yeah, and that's happened more than once.
Yeah, do you remember when multiplayer first came on? Like, I think that was when Gear started.
Yeah.
And there were teams that didn't just have a display error, but they had gear scores in the thousands. And they were actually effectively as powerful as if they were a couple of orders of magnitude stronger than what the gear should have been.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember this, but there's also people with battle point scores in the negatives who were up in like the top 5.
Yes.
Early on. There's people who gave themselves millions or like, I don't know, billions, and gave themselves some insane number of battle points.
Yeah.
And there's also people who gave themselves negative battle points and still put themselves up at the top of the leaderboard.
Do you remember when teams, not so much now, but teams would have the same gear on all 3 players?
Oh yeah, that was a glitch. I think.
I don't know if it was a glitch, but because sometimes it felt like it was intentional, right? They picked something that was particularly like new legendary gear that's particularly strong. Like all 3 team members would have Astro Harness, or all 3 team members would have Razagul Scimitar.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe we'll link to that because I think we did a series of fights where we were specifically looking to find those
in our like teams. 6th and 7th fights, I think.
Yeah. And they also had that Ares, not the regular one from multiplayer.
They had breakthrough Ares.
The breakthrough Ares, where if you didn't beat him up, knock him out in the time allotted, you would just lose the fight, no matter what was happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so there's been... Those people are definitely worth reporting. I think in this specific case, you are safe. And it's good that you ask somebody before just reporting them.
Yeah.
In this specific case, I think if you wanted to, you're safe to.
Yeah.
But in general, I think the report function needs to be used extremely cautiously.
Yeah, and if they were... I think this is like another example of those intention versus execution.
Yeah.
The intention of having the report function is good. The problem is their execution is not great. If they did a better job of investigating, if they did a better job of unsuspending accounts, I think I would probably be more liberal with my reports.
Yeah. So if you want to report somebody for hacking, I think you'd be in the right here. I think if you check and it doesn't seem like they're doing anything else, like as far as the leaderboard, and the experience of actually fighting them wasn't an issue to you, it takes some work to hack.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as much, but if they weren't interfering with your play experience at all, you could always be the bigger person and let them live and let live, or you could report them. I think you'd totally be in the right. Yeah, whichever one you did in this specific case, I think would be good. But it's good how you did it. In general, be very careful if you're going to report somebody. Yeah. So our next question comes from, and I have the pronunciation guide here, Abilhasan Huseynov. And Abilhasan?
I think, well, I'm sure he's probably not as deliberate with his name the same way, but I think we're trying to hit the points because he says, first of all, here's how to pronounce my name. It's not Abil, it's Abil. Abel. Emphasis on A. Abel. The I is pronounced like it is said in the word Bill. Abel. All right? Hassan is emphasis on Ha. And the A's in Hassan are said like the A in Apple. Abilhasan. Abilhasan. I'm going to get it right eventually.
So there we go. Right. And they said, but you pretty much nailed my last name. I appreciate you trying, though. And that's the important part. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I am trying. Just my skills are very limited.
Yeah.
And there's a question, too. It's not just a name guide.
Right.
Say, I also have another question. I don't know if you guys watch the DCEU films or have heard this, but Ben Affleck said that he doesn't want to play Batman anymore. Do you guys think that they should recast Batman with a Flashpoint film and cast Ben Affleck as Thomas Wayne? So then when Barry fixes the timeline, there'll be a different Batman who is younger and still has a chance of having a Robin, since it was shown that Batfleck's Robin died because of the Joker in Batman vs. Superman. It would be like a semi-reboot, but with only one cast change and hopefully new outfits. What do you guys think? I know this is a long question, and I know that I'm just making it longer by writing this end bit, but I'm genuinely curious as to what you guys think.
Oh, you know what? Because there's more. There's a few follow-ups.
Yeah, this is part of a chain.
But I want to actually respond to part of this before I forget, because one thing I think is a failure of the serial storytelling is this, I guess, almost fixation on continuity. Mm-hmm. Because there are so many potential stories that you could tell that would be better if you weren't limited by...
If you weren't held back.
yeah, by what had happened before. I mean, I don't even mean necessarily just the characters that are present now, but because they said something, 10 years and 200 issues ago, that this is something that happened, that somehow they can't go back and revisit it. And then if they do, they have to do a whole reboot of the universe to justify it. And I think that's probably going about it the wrong way. Because every new writer comes in, has their own idea of how, or has a story to tell within the universe. And if I think limitations sometimes are good because it helps you create good art, but I think it also takes away some of the opportunities you'd have to tell stories. Because some of the best stories I saw, like Alan Moore did a couple Batman stories that were sort of not quite in the universe, not in the continuity. Like he did one Batman story, I think it was in an annual with Sandman, that was spectacular. I love that word. It was really good. And I don't think, again, if it was meant to be part of like the whole, I don't know how many issues it's into now, but like Batman Detective Comics, like issue 900 and whatever, then you'd be missing out on a lot. Anyway, sorry, because that's not the question that we're going to originally answer. So I think iProphet came with a response to that. iProphet 3.
And they say, just offering my 2 cents and recent development on the matter. This is my kind of thing, considering I work in the movie industry. Alright, not sure if you're aware, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Negan from Walking Dead, played Thomas Wayne in Batman v Superman already, and he was supposed to be casted the same in future movies. However, recent speculation and news suggests that with Zack Snyder not being part of the universe anymore, it's unlikely that he will play the role. Also, Ben Affleck will be replaced by Jake Gyllenhaal, not because Affleck doesn't want to play Batman, but because he did a poor job in Justice League, and people thought he was too old and weak in the movie. I suppose you're looking for what Abbott and Costello think, so they might have a different thought. However, this is what's most likely to happen.
But so that's not entirely fair, because I think, didn't Ben Affleck do like chin-ups and stuff in the movie? Like he actually, like he's not, I don't know anybody can be really strong as Batman is in the comics.
Yeah, I think that was a really funny way of phrasing it though. And I think there was that whole sad Affleck, like thing from the interview and stuff. I imagine that just the way that the DC extended universe is shaping up, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of opportunities for people who have real passion for what they're doing to not be a little disappointed with how it turns out. That's true, unfortunately. And so then fire back. Now Arian Munir, first question asker of this episode, but a new person comes into the comments and they say, but Jake Gyllenhaal will look poorer, man. He is ugly as hell. The bat suit won't suit him. Can't the directors find a better replacement? And I think this is just, I don't know, I find it really entertaining of people just going, oh yeah, this guy was really crappy, and this
guy's old and weak, this guy's too ugly. Yeah, I don't know that Batman's sort of main feature was that he was pretty. I guess he's a playboy because it's like when he's rich, he gets all the girls not because he's pretty, although he probably was in some of the portrayals in the comics, but it's because he's loaded,
he has
man.
$1 billion.
He's like the richest guy in the DC universe.
Yeah, so going off of the bat suit won't suit him, iProphet comes back with his expertise and says, that's the thing about CG. There is no such thing as a batsuit in today's world. You can make anyone look awesome in a batsuit since it doesn't exist. It's all CG. But the acting still needs to be up there while the face is visible. Of course, there are shots where you see the batsuit that was originally meant to be worn, but neither Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, or Jake Gyllenhaal have that kind of body. But it still looks cool thanks to CG.
Okay, so I'll save it for the end. Hold on, I was just thinking that, the fact that any of them have a body that even remotely resembles what could be a superhero is
incredibly impressive.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. And there's the last response.
Last one from Arian. Christian Bale is the best Batman actor till now, as in my opinion. I'll place him much higher than Affleck and Gyllenhaal. I know there can be other actors who could do better than him as Batman, but compared to these two, he was awesome. Affleck is just a shit. And though Gyllenhaal still haven't started, but I know even before he starts that he is a much more effing shit. Worse than Affleck. I can confirm if Snyder casts him as a replacement for Affleck, Batman movies will face a crisis and people will hate Batman. That's what I want to say. I absolutely hate Jake Gyllenhaal. He looks like a monkey and can't ever be better than Affleck, let alone Bale.
Okay. So my response to this is just a starting point. I will wait here. We will both wait here while you open another tab and Google Captain America 1979 movie.
Yeah, take a look at the images, pause here, go and come back.
Yeah.
And now that you're back...
Right. That's what hero movies used to look like. And if there was a concern that is it Gyllenhaal? Is it hard? Is it like GIF?
I think it's Gyllenhaal.
Okay, I have no idea. Is that hard?
I'm pretty
soft
sure it's
G?
Gyllenhaal.
So he's probably like a GIF guy. Anyways, that's what superhero movies used to look like, and it did not make everybody hate Captain America, or Spider-Man, or actually Incredible Hulk was probably the closest to being legitimate with Lou Ferrigno. I thought out of all the old comic book shows or movies, green. But he had the body, like he had monstrous, like he had huge muscles.
Yeah,
like he looked like he could be, like, you know, go into like a Hulk rage and you know, really do some damage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he fit into those pants. Like, they were definitely not the same size pants as Bill Bixby before he ripped into them, and they were still always purple and stuff. But I think, honestly, like, you guys who are watching superhero movies now are spoiled. I used to watch a TV show that would come on late at night. It was called The Avengers, and sometimes it'd be The New Avengers. And I know that the first time I got tricked because I thought, oh, maybe this has to do something to do with the comic books.
Yeah.
And after that, it's all on me. You fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice and 3 times and 4 times and 5 times, shame on me.
Just kept waiting for somebody to show up.
It was Patrick McNee in his top hat, and there was Diana Rigg, and there's one episode I remember where there was some evil guy that they were facing, and apparently the idea was that he was so fast, like human fast, not superhero fast, that when people were shooting bullets at him, he could use his hands to push the bullets out of the way as they were coming at him. And one time they just tricked him, and Patrick McNee threw his hat at him, and that stopped him from being able. Oh, we can't answer that. Stopped him from. It distracted him. He kicked the bowler hat out of the way, and then somebody shot him.
That's like if you've seen Deadpool 2. It's in a bunch of promotional material, so this isn't a spoiler. It's like Deadpool trying to use his katana to stop all of Cable's bullets, and he's slicing them up, and Cable just keeps shooting at him a bunch, and then at the end he stops and he's all full of bullet holes. He goes, "Bullets are really fast." Like,
but he stops some of it, right? Because part of it is, I think
he cuts the first one. I think they might even do like a slow-mo as he cuts the first one.
Then,
and
you
then
see a little
doing
bit.
You
see a bit of rain of like a little bit of spray, like a sprinkler
spray.
Yeah,
like blood just keeps coming out of him as the new ones keep coming.
Yeah. So all right. So who's been Batman? Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck. All right, have I missed any?
I think those are all the live action ones. I know Mark Hamill was the
voice.
No, sorry, the Joker. Sorry, that's the Joker.
Yeah.
No.
So here's the thing to me. I mean, the one common thing, except for maybe Adam West, because I don't know how famous. I mean, it's way before my time. I don't know how famous Adam West was, but they picked all people who already had some sort of cachet as actors.
Yeah.
For my money, I think the best thing to do would actually be to cast somebody new, like an unknown, as Batman. And then, you wouldn't be limited to somebody who's famous and then try to buff them up and get them to bodybuild. Because, I mean, you see, listen, Superman, the first Superman movie, I think, with Christopher Reeve, was really good for its time. But that was the 70s. The special effects were really limited. And he didn't really have the body. I mean, he had an athletic body, but he didn't really have the body of a Superman. Like, not the way he's portrayed in comics. And I think if you don't go with an established actor, you have a better opportunity to pick somebody who's... I mean, I guess the problem is they may not be good actors, but you can pick somebody who's athletic enough to carry off the physicality of the role. And then maybe, like Bane with Thomas Hardy.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like Bane, right? And he's impressive physically. He's a good actor. I mean, again, he's already been established, but I mean, they could do a little bit more of a broadcasting call and find somebody new and introduce them as Batman. Because what did Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, what did she do before she did Wonder Woman?
She was in... Oh, I forget.
Was she big? Because I don't remember her being famous.
I saw her in other stuff. There was a movie about a spy, like people who move in next door to like this like regular family that turns out they're spies or whatever. I forget what Keeping Up with the Smiths or something like that.
Or the Jones?
The Jones something. There was that, and she was in that.
Okay. But I think that would be a more fruitful approach. And
Yeah.
then they're not as limited, because when you see George Clooney, sometimes you can't forget all the other roles that he's done, right?
Yeah, and getting back to the original question about the alternate universe stuff to bring in somebody new, and fixing the timelines, I think that's interesting. And I think even more than that, the kind of underlying idea of having the alternate universes be part of it would actually be really good, because it would fit in that lack of commitment to, or no need to commit the same way to whatever the timeline, right?
Right.
To commit to previous installments,
Right.
previous
iterations.
Because if you had all the different universes, you could tell self-contained stories that theoretically could still influence something, right? You could have stuff come together if you wanted to later, but you could also tell stories just in the different universes, and you would be able to tell slightly interconnected stories. You still have some sort of bigger universe to tell the stories in, an extended universe, the way that they're doing it right now, but you wouldn't have to have everything be a slave to what came before it.
All right, now, speaking of casting, it just occurs to me as you were talking about some of that, different universes and stuff. I believe Disney bought back the rights from, or they buy Fox, so now they have the rights for Fantastic Four and X-Men again.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about alternative universes and bringing different people back, Chris Evans now will get to play both Captain America and Johnny Storm.
Oh, that's true.
Well, he won't, right? But I mean, here's the thing. I know. I don't think that first, it's not technically the first, but the first good Fantastic Four movie doesn't get enough credit, right?
Yeah.
With Chris Evans. I mean, that was, at the time, that was one of our favorite movies.
Yeah.
Everything Burns.
And then the movie Fant Four Stick, which everybody hated.
Oh, yeah.
Where, didn't the director come out right before the movie came out and said, "I'm not proud of this, don't watch it"?
Yeah.
That
was harsh.
Sad. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting, right? Because there's just so much at play. And I don't remember if Chris Evans at the time was big. The biggest person I think at the time was Michael Chiklis as a Thing. And, who's Sue Storm again? I can picture her. I can't remember her name now.
I don't remember.
She played Dark Angel. She was in Jessica Alba. Alba. So they were the two biggest. And I think Chris Evans at the time was, to me, he was not a known player. And see how great he's done both as Johnny Storm and as Captain America.
Yeah. So there we go. So I guess the answer to your question, yeah, that's interesting. I think that has some thought, and depending on what they actually do with it, there's a decent chance that your idea for what they could do is better executed than whatever it is they actually end up doing. It remains to be seen, I guess, but I think that would definitely be serviceable.
Agreed.
At the very least. Our next question comes from Philip W.S., and they say, which characters are suitable to substitute your Flashpoint team, but with the same gear card layout? Keep up the brilliant work.
Woo-hoo. Thank you.
Thanks, Philip. Hopefully we will. I wouldn't call it brilliant necessarily, but
we're shiny.
Ideally, we'll keep up the same quality work.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, and thanks for the appreciation. Ooh.
Yeah.
Thick fingers. I hate that. So, all right. Depends on how you interpret the question, right? So it could be you're saying what characters are suitable. Really, all of them. Depending on what you mean by suitable, or none of them, right? Because when you're looking at the Flashpoint team, what you're seeing, how we geared them. Yeah. These are the classic archetypes, right? You've got a basic damage dealer in Flashpoint Batman. You've got a tank in Flashpoint Aquaman. And you've got your your special specialist in Flashpoint Deathstroke.
Yeah. So really, if you want to know just who you could put that exact gear on, you could look at almost any previous online multiplayer video that we've had in the past few months, and then even before that, you could go further back and you could look at anybody who we say this person is geared up as blank, and you could put the gear that we currently have the Flashpoint team using on that character. Yeah,
so you could those gear loadouts, good for everybody.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, though, you're gonna want characters that have something else to offer that makes them more effective in their particular roles, right?
Yeah.
The best reason is a good passive. So, for example, Red Sun Green Lantern is an especially good tank because he usually doesn't get stunned, and I guess we can get details about that because sometimes in the middle of a special one from Batgirl, he can get stunned.
Yeah.
And he takes less critical damage, or he takes 0 critical damage and he takes less special damage. So he's a really good tank.
Yeah, he's crazy good at just kneecapping the enemy's ability to do damage.
So the problem here is when you're looking for somebody else suitable to replace the Flashpoint team, the Flashpoint team is actually probably the best for at least a couple reasons. They are literally the best team because Batman's destructive blows, which are no longer called destructive blows, deal out extra damage when anything crits.
And I think calling them destructive blows, there was nothing wrong with that. It was a little bit less informative, but I think still having that kind of terminology, I think, is a good shorthand. I liked that.
So that part of it, so much more important before in the old meta, right? When basic damage dealers were the key to a good team.
Yeah.
But in the current meta game strategy, with Tantu Totem Master's Death Cart making special specialists much more important, we're looking at Deathstroke's Pirate Crew, which gives a whole bunch of extra damage on his specials, and with the destructive blows from Flashpoint Batman, which are no longer called destructive blows.
See, I feel like that addendum is really funny. It's like in Welcome to Night Vale, John Peters, the farmer.
Yeah.
Every time it's like that kind of like.
Yeah. Deathstroke is deadly, so nobody else is as good as this team. So you can replace them. Just recognize at least that they're not going to be as effective because nobody's as effective as a Flashpoint team.
Mm-hmm. So there we go. And our final question of the week comes from Michael. And they ask, I read on the subreddit that the time glitch could break the game. Is this true, or does setting the time back to real time fix this?
So, when you say is it true, the different aspects of it, is it possible?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. It's never happened to us.
So is it true? Not in our experience, but we're just one person.
We believe it. So
we're two people, but we're one entity.
We're one resource.
We're one YouTube channel.
That's probably.
We're actually two YouTube channels, but one.
We're technically three.
We're one active YouTube channel.
Yeah.
A gaming channel, which we now post all of our non-gaming content on too.
Which you will be seeing soon.
Yeah, that's true.
As a teaser. So some things in general that we recommend, but maybe gets lost in the noise, since it's not always true for every glitch.
Yeah, especially with what right now is the most important glitch, that this advice is unactionable.
Right. We typically say if a glitch is doable offline, do it offline. And that's true with energy recharges. That's true with anything where you do time shifting, right? Mm-hmm. And it's why we always say always return your cooldown clock back to normal after you've done any time shifting.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: when you go into the game, I believe the server checks information on your account.
Yeah.
Like some basic stuff. And one of the things it should recognize relatively quickly is what time you're on and what time zone you set for your device. So it always leaves open the potential for flagging the account. And it's why I always say why I I just never do time shifting when I'm in a multiplayer fight and I need energy.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's those little things, which is be offline whenever you can, and also do a third-party backup. And we almost never show the third-party backup in our videos because that's not useful. It's not actually one of the steps in doing the glitch.
Right.
But so if you want to minimize risk, always do offline if you can, and do third-party backups. And I think a good rule of thumb for the frequency with which you should do third-party backups is do it with a frequency that if you lost the progress, you would be really disappointed but not crushed.
Right.
So if you're the kind of person who plays for more than an hour every day, I would say do it every couple days. If you're the kind of person who only plays a couple hours every week or two, you probably only have to do it every week or two. I think if you spent about 5 hours playing and you haven't backed up, if you lose more than 5 hours, like if you're losing 10 hours or more, you'd probably be pretty crushed to lose all that progress. Yeah. So my personal rule of thumb for that would probably be, ideally, if you remember to do it every about 5 hours of play. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so there's personal metrics with that, I guess, but just be careful always. That's always our recommendation. And there we go. Look, we're out of fights. So let's wrap this up with a huge thank you to all of our patrons. That's Eddy G, Edwin Felix, and Console Peasant, who are all supporting us at the highest tier, the Last Word tier. We've got iProphet, who is supporting us at the Your Message Here tier. And we have both Shawn, Farrell, LAIN, and Daniel Simonson, not both. All of them. There's three of them.
Is there a 3-word for that? That's like both?
The trio.
Oh, okay,
I don't
there
know.
you
who are supporting us on the credited level. And this is a reminder that we're taking a 2-week hiatus.
After today.
Yeah.
So the hiatus isn't that there will be no new content, because we're
Same
actually
amount of
scheduled
content, actually.
Yeah, it's that we're taking a hiatus from filming, so the content that's coming up will be not current.
Yeah, so that means no recaps, and if you got Wi-Fi, maybe some replies to stuff, but also maybe not. So maybe not as much interaction with us in the comments as usual.
Yep. So the recap last week was the latest, so if you've got any information, you might want to just add it as a comment in last week's recap to help each other out about what's current, what glitches are still working, which ones are not.
Yeah, and if we're online, maybe we can heart some stuff. If somebody collates a bunch of the data, heart and or pin it. Yeah, so that people can access that easily.
Yep.
So there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Komoda.